Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Products Insight podcast. Joining me today is Carol Howard from Beyond Encryption. And Carol is actually the head of network sales, and her day-to-day role is actually working with advisors and supporting advisors on the subject that we're going to talk about today. And this podcast is called Mythbusting, How to Deploy a Secure Email Solution. So welcome to the podcast, Carol. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm really good. Thank you, Vincent.
Excellent. Now, what we're talking about is actually a solution that is already endorsed and supported by the Right Mortgage and Protection Network. Now, advisors who are watching this podcast might be wondering, what is it that we're talking about? So can we start the basics, really? Can you tell us about what is encryption and why really advisors should seriously consider it as part of their day-to-day engagement with clients?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, MailLock is an outbound email security solution. So MailLock isn't a technology that protects from phishing emails from your inbound threats, which we know are very prevalent at the minute. It's something that protects data within or attached to your outbound email messages. So we all love email. We've been using email for a long time, over 30 years. The problem with email, it wasn't designed with security in mind. So putting information into an email or attaching information to an email is tantamount to writing that on a postcard and popping that in a normal post. That's the best analogy I can give you. And obviously you wouldn't write bank details on a postcard, popping that into the post with all eyes as that postcard goes on its journey, able to see that information. And essentially, when you do that with an email, that is what you're doing. We know post-pandemic, during the pandemic, cybercrime rose exponentially. You know, we've got a huge problem with this now. It's been very lucrative for these guys during the pandemic with all the digital transformation, etc. So we really now need to put that postcard, if you like, into a cast iron envelope. We need to make sure that those prying eyes, as this information passes across this very busy space, which is the internet, that it's protected from that. And we do that with encryption. We scramble that information so that any hackers can't actually access that information. But then when we talk about encryption, we talk about solutions. That is actually only half of the problem, because the ICO are reporting to us on a quarterly basis the stats around the reports that are coming into them. And the actual biggest cause of a data breach is misdirected email, which is not surprising given the pressures that we've been under, home working, this secondary pandemic of mental health, etc., etc. And this is really on the rise. So MailLock is a solution that encrypts that information for you so it's protected as it passes from A to B, but also we verify the identity of your recipient to make sure we also help employees, colleagues with that as well. So yeah, that's what encryption is. It gives you the ability to continue to use our beloved email, but in a safe and secure manner.
Excellent. And of course, we're talking your company's Beyond Encryption, but the product that we're talking about is MailLock.
It's MailLock, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, well, if an advisor was to pose an objection to you to say, look, you know, my business is quite small, who would ever be interested in hacking into our emails and actually getting involved with what we're doing? How would you respond to that, Carol?
Yeah, I think, to a certain extent that might be true, but we know cybercrime is on the rise. 80% of financial firms have recently reported an increase during pandemic, post-pandemic, of cyber fraud. We're all aware of this. I think one of the very typical hacks that is out there, and I promise your listeners you won't have to go far, family, friends, colleagues, to find someone this has actually happened to, or they've had a near miss, or they've heard of it happening to somebody very close to them. And that's this sort of so-called man-in-the-middle attacks, and the banks have a huge problem with this. And this is where hackers are scraping bank details out of emails. They write programs that will pick up numbers that might be 6 digits with a gap in between 2, 4, 6, followed by 8 digits. It's the bank account number. They're being taken out of open emails. They're being changed. The email makes its onwards transmission. Nobody's any the wiser, and money is paid to spurious bank accounts, and it's gone into a black hole. It's gone. And this is a real problem. And certainly when we talk about efficiencies, at the minute, if you receive an open email, as we call it, an email in the clear, with bank details, with an invoice asking for money to be paid, please don't pay that until you've checked with the person who sent that email. Those are the correct bank details, would be my advice. That's a one piece of information you sort of take from today. Don't ever pay anything from that comes out in the clear without checking it's right. And obviously when we talk about efficiency, we don't want to be doing that with every single email that comes in like that. So actually encrypting that, if that's a secure email arriving in your inbox, that has not been tampered with. And I think, the other huge amount of damage this can do is obviously to your brand's reputation, which is the big worry. that you have a misdirected email where data is exposed to the wrong person, or a hack or bank information we just talked about. You've spent years building up that brand reputation and that can be wiped out, which is obviously very, very serious to any business.
Yeah.
Something you really need to protect, obviously.
Excellent. I guess everyone who's watching this podcast today, if you're an advisor, you are handling elements of sensitive information. And I suppose if you were to put your feet in the shoes of a client, would you want that type of sensitive information, like your bank account details, passing to someone who maybe has ulterior motives with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, another challenge, probably specific to advisors at the Right Mortgage and Protection Network, Carol, which is, what would you say to advisors who say that actually we appreciate this, but we already have a solution that allows us to engage in document sharing, so some technology like the client portal through the key?
Yeah.
How would you respond to that, Carol?
Yeah, I get this a lot. People will say they have a portal, they don't need secure email as well. But we very much see secure email as a complement to that portal use. Portals have become very, very prevalent throughout the pandemic. They've been very useful. They are very useful. The key I know is used widely across the Right Mortgage, and I hear really good feedback about the key. I think one thing to mention is that people are still taking risks when urgency is in play. So, if something, we know that when we're sending information via email, we're pushing it directly to our clients. I think the stat is around about 70% of, I think it's 40% of mail lock secure emails are opened in the first hour, 70% within the first 24 hours. So we know we're pushing that information out. If we need a quick response, ask yourself, are we still taking risks with email? And the other thing is, I think, around client choice and client demographic, because we've got a huge difference between our tech-savvy clients and our clients who may not want to engage with portals, may find that cumbersome for whatever reason. So I know I speak to brokers who have deployed MailLock in addition to the likes of the key, so that they can consider this particular client and consider how they would like to receive that information and what would work best for them. So the fact that you've got both of those options, just means you've closed that ring of steel around your business, if you like. You're not going to have the odd email flying out just because they won't go to the portal, or it's really urgent and you need a quick response. So, it's a fairly low ticket item, MailLock. It's £8.50 per user per month. So in addition to the key, especially if you've got a small business, it just, as I say, closes that security perimeter, if you like.
Really good. And I think you've alluded to it already, Carol, but can you just elaborate on potentially what could go wrong potentially if sensitive information does get into the wrong hands? Because it is a serious issue, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we now have to report that to the ICO within 24 hours. Anything we report to them, it is in the public domain. So again, brand reputation is on the line there. Obviously, they do threaten fines, and I am seeing the ICO get a lot more proactive on that. And I think, clients are getting much more, well, they are aware of data protection. They see it, they see data breaches. Our clients are very, very aware of that. Our consumers are very aware of this. So yeah, they're not going to be, I don't think, particularly forgiving if, their data is inadvertently shared with, either because it's been stolen for criminal gains or because it's been inadvertently sent to the wrong person. I think they are quite savvy around this. So yeah, it's obviously client relations and your reputation.
Reputational is one of the biggest areas that could really damage a small business, for sure. I think, again, you alluded to this a second ago, but you mentioned about the technology aspect where it's potentially something else that a client has to come to terms with. How would you respond, and what's your experience when working with advisors where advisors' first impressions might be, my clients won't engage with this type of technology?
Yeah, I do an awful lot of demos, and I think within the first 30 seconds of doing a demo to any single advisor, that advisor will tell me this needs to be simple for my clients. You can stop right there. This isn't going to be simple for my clients. We do not want any barriers between ourselves and communicating with our clients, which is absolutely fair enough, obviously. So I think email encryption has got a bit of a legacy attached to it, that it's been complicated in the past, but it's moved on an awful lot. And at the end of any of my demos, really pleasingly, the best feedback we ever get and the number one comment we get is how simple it is. And I make sure when I do demos that I show not only that send process, but also we kind of go to a Gmail typical receive environment, share my screen on the demo and show you what your client has to do. And the comments are always, well, that is really easy. That is great because, you know, they don't need to open any accounts, download any software, and they just meet the identity challenge that they will be set to make sure that's the right person and the email is available to them. So, and I think, you know, the comment around clients not wanting to engage with this type of technology is outdated now. You know, the confidence has grown immensely around tech during the last 2 years because we've been forced to use it, obviously. And I think we don't give clients, consumers, enough credit for their ability and their willingness to adopt new technology if it proves efficient, much more, you know, they're getting things much more efficiently from their advisors and providers.
Yeah, and I said at the beginning of the podcast, Carol, that, you know, we endorse this piece of technology. We actually use it every single day, and I can back up what you've just said. It is very easy. It's effortless, in fact, because it's integrated with our Outlook, and it's just part of what we do every single day. So really good. As we get to a bit of a conclusion of this podcast, and we'll do a bit more to broaden this out to really elaborate on exactly how all this pulls together. But what would you say to advisors in terms of the main points that you'd want them to take away if they're not already using this type of this capability with their emails?
I think I probably just draw my conversations that I'm having daily with advisors out there in the field and, you know, walking in their shoes. And I've had a lot of people, especially for some reason this year, it seems to have really landed, that people are saying, I have been worried about this for so long. I know that when when something's urgent, etc., we might just send the odd email out, and we know it only takes one email to go astray, etc. I know people are worried about it. I would really encourage your members to request a demo with us if you want to have a quick. And I appreciate that you're finding the time to sit down and get your head around a new piece of technology is the challenge. So just grab a coffee, take 10 minutes, let us just show you a quick demo, let us surface all the features and the benefits and the features for you. And then, you know, there's a 2-week trial for you to get used to it. And I think what I would say about MailLock is it is just really, really simple. And I think people are always surprised by how simple it actually is. Yeah, so if you've looked at it in the past, or you've looked at an email encryption solution in the past and thought, no way, this is too complicated, do give us another try because things have moved on considerably.
And I think clients would respect the fact that you respect their data and you want it looked after properly.
I think just the other thing to quickly mention also, which is probably really important, Vincent, is that we are the only solution that integrates with Unipass within financial services market. So with our initiative with Origo Services, we are looking to become the standard solution within FS. We've already got Royal London using this, Aegon using this, HSBC yourselves, various other people in test. And the goal is for this to become that standard solution, you know, within this market. So it's particularly suitable for those reasons for your members.
Awesome. Now, you did say if an advisor wants to actually book a demonstration, below this podcast, we're going to put a button which you can request that, Carol. And we've also got a dedicated page on the advisor site where advisors can find out a lot more. But that's really good, Carol. Thank you for spending a bit of time going through a bit of that myth busting. We do need to really get on top of this as an industry, really, because not enough of us are using this capability and avoiding these risks. So thanks for joining us today, Carol. Okay. Advisors, thank you for you guys and girls to tune in. Hope you found it useful. And until next time, it's bye for now.